Are you f***ing kidding me? What? You're the same guy that's trying to be relatable. Meanwhile, this here proves that you're doing a shit job at doing so. He then says shit like, there should be more me's out there that are relatable, and even goes to say, I don't mean to sound egotistical.
I should be the only mother getting praise in the Genshin community because I don't spend money on Genshin Impact.
I said this in a tweet already, so go ahead and check it out if you want. But the main ideas of this video is this. I'm okay with giving a seemingly nice guy a second chance after a bad take. Everyone makes mistakes, and the light ones like a small bad take should be forgiven. But I get super disappointed whenever someone continues to make bad takes and gives me a reason to hate them. Meanwhile, they're just not completely thinking about what they're saying. If you couldn't guess already who I'm talking about Iyoverse. Again, the last video I made about him was my power creep video, and I thought it would be done there. But then, I'm pretty sure he said he dropped it like a few days before, but anyways, he then drops a video, and throughout watching it, I slowly, throughout that video, grow the urge to make this one. So yeah, we'll be talking about him again today. So if you enjoy, please be sure to like the video and subscribe for more Gacha Gaming content. Now let's begin. So, basically what I did was this. I watched Mr. Focus' reaction to his video, and as I'm watching, he's analyzing the video, and Iyo is giving his takes. I suddenly get the urge to make notes on what Iyo is saying. Usually I do this shit when I'm, reviewing an update or reviewing a new gacha game, but this guy wants to be the guy, right? Well, he's special today, so be fucking overjoyed. Anyways, we have compiled about 25 pieces of notes and shit about that entire video, and now we're going to discuss it. So without further ado, let's get this over with. The first thing I wrote down was how he was overthinking things with the Relic system. Now, overthinking it may be the wrong choice of words, but he sure as hell was wrong about something, and that's how the Relic system is bad. Look, I get it. Trying to get a good Relic with the proper substats and the proper main stats is painful. So you know what you do? When you're building another character, you can have saved relics for future use. The first thing I do when I build a character is get the relics situated, and I usually never have to do it again unless I get a better piece. That way, nothing else has to be done unless it's really necessary. I'm going to talk more about the relic system in the future, but for now, let's move on. He then starts to overreact a ton when his chat is saying mean shit to him. He gets mad when people are double-sided, and he gets mad whenever people intentionally miss his point. Hey dumbass, welcome to how the people work. You give heavy takes, and you just expect everyone to treat shit nicely? Buddy, you're supposedly so fucking good at giving takes in a gacha space. Meanwhile, you forgot what space you're truly in. There are lots of dumb fucking people, and you letting them get to you is just going to give them more of a reason to bully you and hurt your feelings. Don't give a heavy take if you can't handle the weight of what comes after the fact. Anyways, he then calls the WuWa community the Neo Genshin community, and also points out how the games have toxic communities. Buddy, you later on compared gacha games to other games, so let's do that, shall we? Now guess what? Every genre in any form of media has a toxic community, and that's just a fact. If you can't accept that, then don't call people out on their bullshit expecting everyone to change easily and cause world peace. No community works that way. Now, these next takes are the mother of all omelets. The big, huge, nuclear takes that will probably have me shouting by the time I'm done reading them all. If you thought I was screaming before, you better strap yourself in for what's about to come. But anyways, let's talk about the meat of this video. So one of the first things he says is fighting game terms came into WuWa from other people. Well, yeah, you think juggling is a f***ing WuWa term or a fighting game term? Fuck no. Clowns do that shit for a living too, just like you. The second thing he says is how not doing WuWa content isn't being completely dedicated. If you were to try your absolute hardest to try and make content for only one gacha game, you would make shitty ideas like Genshin Impact, try not to laugh, or like for other gacha games, when there's nothing to do. If you stick to only one gacha game, you will have no content to make. Look at me. I make several videos on several gacha games, and I always have at least a few videos a week I'm pumping out for you guys. Sticking to one game will harm your channel in the long run, so expanding your channel to different content and different games will effectively help your channel. But we're getting off track here. The next thing he says is how Rexlet having an E6 Jinshi, or like E6 characters in general, is unrelatable. Buddy, he legit coached Mr. Pokey, the boogeyman that reacted to you, into beating the hardest boss, the Tempest Mephis hologram, with a fucking damn Jin. One of the hardest characters to use in the game if you don't know how to play her, plus he didn't even have 3 characters equipped. And that's not all. People have beaten this same hologram with level 1 characters, now given they were on lower difficulties. But if you try hard enough, it could be possible to do difficulty 6 with level 1 characters as well. Oh, but still, that's not all. He then says shit like there should be more me's out there that are relatable, and even goes to say, I don't mean to sound egotistical. You know who that sounds like?
I should be the only mother getting praise in the Genshin community because I don't spend money on Genshin Impact.
Now we get into the biggest takes here, where he genuinely disappointed me. Genuinely. So let's get into it. So the first thing out of the biggest things he did was he constantly compared apples to oranges. The first thing is he compared a gacha game to Breath of the Wild. He then compares a gacha game's $50 worth to another genre's $50 worth. Then he compares gachas to fighting games in terms of combat. And finally, the cherry on top here, he says, don't say they're gacha games, that's not an excuse. Buddy, it's not an excuse, it's a f***ing fact. Gacha game combat and AAA titles combat are 2 completely different ball games. Also, he says shit like, you can juggle in ZZZ, and you can't beat ZZZ blindfolded. Meanwhile, again, Mr. Pokey, the same boogeyman that reacted to you, stops mid-react to do exactly that in the conditions he placed. The way most gacha games combat works is that there's cheese mechanics that are limited slightly by other mechanics, and I'll explain what I mean in the next biggest point. Now his biggest takes are on the games in general. Back on the topic of cheese mechanics, he compares a gacha game's juggling to a fighting game's juggling, like Tekken. Dude, of course they're not gonna let you juggle your way to victory in this game. The basic combat is easy enough already. Listen to me, you should never expect a gacha game to have perfect combat. Every gacha game has issues with combat, but it's not exclusive to Wuthering Waves. It has issues with combat, sure, but why would they add a dodge and parry feature if you could just juggle everything and win? That would make the game even more boring for you, and you legit complain about there being no content at the end of the game. Which brings me to my next bit of this. He complains about how WuWa is grindy, and how you do your dailies and leave the game when there's no content. Are you f***ing kidding me? Dude, every gacha game is like that once you finish the story, and all the content in the current update. There's no exception. Star Rail, ZZZero, Wuthering Waves, even Genshin, all the big shots have this issue. Now, I haven't even gotten close to the end of Limbus, and my one buddy said that it's a tad bit dry until it updates, so it's not just the big shots either. But now, we get into the biggest takes that angered me. He said that Genshin has better exploration than WuWa. What? Dude, the overworld in Genshin is not as good as WuWa at all. You get way more for exploring in WuWa, and you have way more intricate and fun exploration puzzles to do. You complain about time spent or how something has to occupy you. Meanwhile, the Wuthering Waves puzzles are better at doing that by giving unique and sometimes difficult puzzles. Meanwhile, Genshin is a baby game where the hardest puzzle gives you like 6 primos. If they don't fix that, like, dude, what? And finally, the biggest thing that got me is how he said, make the game my level. Make Wuthering Waves my Gacha Soulsborne. He may be joking, but first of all, this is a game meant to take money from mentally ill middle schoolers, greaseballs, nerds, coomers, and teenagers. Why the fuck would they actively try to steer that audience away from their game by doing that difficulty jump for the entirety of the game? Second of all, not everyone wants to play the game on your level. I felt the same way about struggling on the Splatoon 2 Octo expansion. Really niche example, but guess what? Now I realize that you just have to get better. Or you just have to accept things for what they are. Not everything is going to be exactly how you want. You're the same guy that's trying to be relatable. Meanwhile, this here proves that you're doing a shit job at doing so. Anyways, let's wrap this up. My voice is getting like very, very scratchy. When Iyo dropped his take on Power Creep, I made a video and tried to put his bad take past him after I made that. But he then proceeds to make an even worse video with even worse takes than the last one. And maybe I'm being a little bit too harsh here, but dude, when he only says shit that's invalid, what do you expect me to do? Pretend I like him? There's already tons of fake fuckheads in the space already. I'm not about to just simply be one of them too. But, literally the only good point he had in that video was how you shouldn't judge a game that just came out. Which is entirely fair. But seriously, don't expect me to try and be forgiving with someone's takes when all I've been seeing is their bad ones. That's just like forgiving Sneeko because he had one good take. If he has good takes too, or if you have any feedback, just comment down below, and I'll probably see it. But other than that, that's about it for today's video. If you enjoyed, please be sure to like the video and subscribe for more Gacha Gaming content. We're trying to reach 500 subs by the end of the summer, so subscribe to make that possible. Comment down below what you want to see next, and check out my community tab for updates and polls about new videos. Be sure to also check out my Twitter. I ship post with my favorite creators and some of my masters checked out as well. And with that, I'll see you guys in the next one, and hopefully it's not shit-talking someone online, because I'm gonna be honest, it gives me content, but sometimes I really hate doing it. You seem like a nice guy, just give more thought into what you're saying next time.